Thank you.
Our next challenge is known as Keeping It Cool. This challenge, the mentors were Matt Williams from Lend-Lease and Angelo DeMarco from GHD. The participants in the team were Ruth Hughes from Sydney Water, Charles Pryor from Lend-Lease, Farineh Abdi from Urban Growth New South Wales, Andrew Ho from Transport for New South Wales, and Yuvraj Singh from Transport for New South Wales. Please welcome Team 5, Keeping It Cool.
Good evening. My name is Yuvraj Singh, and today we'll be talking about the urban heat island effect. And later, we'll put under the scanner one team's green ribbon solution on what they think can solve this problem in the context of Parramatta. Now, due to specific properties of construction materials used in the urban infrastructure, we actually experience more heat than we really should. As I've said, we joined with a project team here. We've got Andrew Ho, who's the sustainability manager, Ruth Hughes, our environmental expert, Farineh Abdi, who's the lead planner, and we've got Charles Pryor, who is the project engineer. Now, Ruth, given that you have a whole city to contend with, why are we just talking about Parramatta?
It is hotter in Parramatta. Last year, there were over twice as many days above 35 degrees in Parramatta compared with Sydney CBD. And this is a real problem, not only because heat discourages people from going to an area, but there are serious health implications. In fact, heat is the leading killer of Australians when compared to all other natural hazards combined. And it's particularly a problem in Parramatta because they don't get the cooling coastal breeze. Also, there's a lot of dark surfaces that reflect heat and energy sources from like air conditioners and limited tree cover, and all these factors combined and others create Parramatta's urban heat island. And with the growth going on in the area, this is only set to increase.
Well, that sounds like you have a big problem in Parramatta, but are you sure you can affect and change right now?
See, Raj, there is a growing recognition of Parramatta's importance, which is signified by the construction of the light rail and the redevelopment of Parramatta Square, which is located in the CBD and is bounded by Churchill Street, the commercial hub of Parramatta. I'm going to show you a very quick video of the proposed light rail at Parramatta, which has been created by Transport for New South Wales. So the construction of the light rail is expected to start in late 2018 and be completed by 2023. The light rail network will help build Parramatta as a new city, connecting it to the major economic centres of the region. This will give us an opportunity to implement infrastructure solutions that will reduce the heat impacts in Parramatta.
So you've mentioned the light rail here. How exactly are you going to integrate that into your solution?
What we're actually proposing here, Raj, is that the light rail itself is an environmental opportunity to tackle the heat island effect. And we're proposing to do that by a solution which we've called the Green Ribbon, and that runs from Parramatta Square down to Parramatta River along Church Street. And we've got a three-prong approach of three separate solutions that are going to tackle that using the light rail. The first of which is a smart misting system to provide atmospheric relief from the heat. The second of which is to use green canopies, which we propose is going to provide more shading. And finally, we're proposing to replace the pavings underneath the light rail itself with green turf.
Well, I've heard a lot about misting systems. What makes yours particularly smart?
Look, I'll tackle that one as well. Before I start by answering the question, I'll briefly just give you a background of what we're proposing in the misting system. So what we're doing is we're going to treat the water from Parramatta itself, from the Parramatta River, in a small treatment facility, run it up a trench of a 70 millimetre polyethylene pipe and put it into a storage tank at Parramatta Square. And of course, we intend to complete these works in conjunction with the light rail in order to minimise disruption. So from this storage tank, it's going to be pumped across two separate misting lines on either side of Church Street, and that's going to provide a small mist-like fog, which is going to cool down the air. That cool air is going to force the hotter air from the surface upwards. It's going to create a circulation of air, which is going to improve air quality. It's going to improve dust suppression, considering there's going to be a lot of construction works in place. And finally, it's going to reduce the temperature within the Parramatta, within that localised region by up to 8 degrees. But what makes the system smart is this. Each of our misting lines is separated into 80 metre segments, and each 80 metre segment is governed by a bypass valve. And that bypass valve will be on and off operation depending on 2 factors, the first of which is temperature, the second of which is Wi-Fi connectivity. If the temperature exceeds 28 degrees Celsius and there's sufficient Wi-Fi connectivity in the area, which obviously indicates a lot of people about, those 2 factors will trigger this misting system into operation, and that means that we're not wasting water when we don't really need to.
Well, I'm sure everyone here has heard about the Legionnaire's disease spreading around. How are you going to get around that?
Part of our proposal is to bring the river to the people of Parramatta. However, in doing this, we need to make sure it's safe. That's why we'll be putting a small treatment facility down by the river that uses existing technology to treat water to Australian drinking water guideline standards in line with New South Wales health requirements. This safe water will then be pumped up and into the green ribbon solution.
Well, it sounds like you'll be moving a lot of water and using a lot of energy in doing that. How do you justify that?
It's not as much as you might think, Raj. We're going to have solar panels on the treatment plant, which will power the pumping and misting system requirements, and water consumed from the river is less than if everyone in Parramatta had a glass of water.
Now, Andrew, you're the sustainability expert, and I'm sure you're aware of this fact, that the 2020 vision by the federal government proposes to put in more trees to combat urban heat island. Why don't you just plant more trees?
Yes, Raj, nature is actually our best solution. In high city dense streets areas, we don't have space to plant trees. So we propose a green canopy solution integrated into the misting system. This system will provide maximum amount of shade and use minimal rise of ground floor spacing. We also want to put it into strategic areas in Parramatta, so pedestrian crossings. We want it to reflect Parramatta's pride. So the 2 teams are Parramatta Eels and also the Mighty Wanderers. Leave the fire.
See, Raj, we see the light rail as a very big opportunity. Looking at the picture on the right and taking inspirations from the tramways successfully done in Paris, we are hoping to work with Transport for New South Wales and engage them at the early stages to implement grass cover under the light rail. Parramatta is lacking greenery, and I strongly believe the implementation of the grass cover throughout Churchill Street and the CBD will have a lot of environmental benefits as well as reducing the radiant temperature. We are also proposing to put underground irrigation lines that will water the grass using the treated water from the river.
Well, this sounds all fantastic, but when it comes to money and you can't quantify the benefits, why do you think the council's going to put real dollars in your pocket?
Raj, we spoke to Parramatta Council 2 weeks ago, and they told us that they cancelled a market event down by the river. And we don't want this to ever happen again, right? We want to make Parramatta a cool and more resilient city. When we make Parramatta have a cooler microclimate, we also have a natural cooling effect, and this will have a knock-on effect and release stress on air conditioning, save some money at the same time. Let's talking about money, economic benefits as well. When Parramatta becomes a more cooler and pleasant place, investors will pour in. This will have a compounding, boosting effect to make Parramatta Sydney's second CBD. What about health? A cooler Parramatta means people will be more active and healthier. But we want to tie the light rail and the green ribbon together, because in the long term, it'll pay itself back, because through environmental benefits. The light rail is happening in 2018, and we want to piggyback on this idea. We don't want to let this opportunity go to waste, so we must act now.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, a green ribbon solution that could possibly make Parramatta cooler. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sounds pretty blue ribbon to me. Dr. Kangar, you know a lot about engineering and water. What did you think of that?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that presentation and a very innovative solution. I quite like the idea of a green ribbon for light rail. It's possibly going to be the first in the world, I think, and so it might also be a tourist attraction. And I'm sure it's going to make Parramatta a very interesting and cool place to live in. So as you have anticipated, more population growth, perhaps more heat, and perhaps then more green ribbons as well. So it's a start of something that might be even bigger. So congratulations on your presentation and your sustainable solution as well. Thank you.
Any other judges' comments? Any other comments? Tim, would you like to address perhaps where this is up to from a planning point of view? Is this possible?
Well, whether it is or not, we'll find out. But I suppose just for the team, that you know, a couple of them probably have a bit of insider knowledge. But you know, your timing is good. So in terms of Parramatta Light Rail, and for the other guys with their pitch along George Street, Kevin Young probably and I would have wanted that 6 months ago. But it is a fantastic idea. So that combined with this, in terms of where Parramatta Light Rail is up to, as I said, many of these pitches, they're real life problems that we have here and now. So we'll put you in contact with the project director regardless of where we land tonight. Cheers.
Excellent.
Please join me in thanking and keeping it cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.